Hey, everybody, welcome to the daily update for Friday the 13th. Friday, February 13th, 2026. Happy Friday. So, 3-day weekend on tap, President's Day on Monday, shortened week next week. If you are a free Lund Loop subscriber, keep an eye out in your email tomorrow. I've got a President's Day sale where I learn how to talk. A President's Day sale where you can get 40% off your first year of the Lund Loop. And what does that get you? That gets you the full daily update Monday through Friday, including all of our watch list. These are the names that we're looking at to make the most amount of money in the next 1 to 3 days, or the next 3 days to 3 weeks. You can get into the trading room, which is just for Lund Loop members. You get the full Deconstructing a Trade archive, which is a whole archive of videos where I go in depth, like not theoretical, but like literally detail by detail on how to use technical analysis to maximize your profits and minimize your risk. Plus, you get the whole meditations on market archive, the AMAs. You can send me an email. It's great. Anyway, look for that tomorrow. We'd love to have you join us in the trading room and as a full member of our community. All right, so tough week. What I want to start with here, we don't usually go through the intraday action on a Friday, but I just want to highlight something that I talked about yesterday. And by the way, yesterday my cursor was doing some weird things on the screen. It wasn't tracking on the video where I was moving it, so hopefully today it's going to. So we talked about this a couple of times. We had this gap, and then we lost it. Gap up, lost it. Gap up, lost it. Today, we did just the opposite, right? We had a gap down, and then we went up here, and then we lost it. So we still are getting this waterfalling effect as sellers keep coming in and overpowering buyers. I think we have a really big move coming. And coming into today, I thought that there was probably a good chance that we had a snapback move coming, like a really big counter trend rally. And unfortunately, we didn't get that. In fact, we got what was probably the worst scenario going into a 3-day weekend. And that is we got just enough of a lift to take off that oversold condition, but not enough to, recapture levels, recapture moving averages. So really just enough to reset for a big fall down. Now, I'm not saying that the big move I think is coming is necessarily down. It could be up, it could be down. It's kind of binary at this point, but if I had to bet on it, I would say it's probably, I would say 60-40 that it's going to be a lower move. And one of the reasons I think that is, let me go back here to the charts. One of the things I've been talking about over the last few days is the concept of catching falling knives. And the 3 spots where you can do this, each one progressively less risky. The first one is when you try to catch something down here and you've got no support resistance, you've got no indication that price has stopped going down. That's the most riskiest. The second riskiest is when, excuse me, I'm sure what's going on here, is when you get a day where you gap up from the low and you find some intraday spot. And if the day finishes strong, you can maybe hold it. And then the least risky situation is when you get the initial move, which, you can have the move here up to here. It pulls back for a few days, and then you get the move after the move. We didn't get that. Most of these names that had these reflexive moves in this 3-day period here did not set up. They just rolled back over. And so if we look at this day right here, let's look at the 10th. As the apex of the counter trend rally, right? We have all these names that are oversold, and then they rally for 3 days, 2.5, 3 days, right? So this is kind of the pivot point. That's the point where if we went into today with an oversold condition and we got that big counter trend rally like I thought we were going to get, we would get back above that pivot. Well, let's look at that in relation to a lot of individual names. Now, some names popped today. For example, Coinbase was up 16%, but even with a 16% jump, look where it is in relation to that pivot. It's still below the pivot. It's not even above the pivot. How about Hood? Hood got a little bit of a pop today too, way below that pivot right here. Look at Toast, same sort of thing, right? It was up on the day, but it's still below the breakdown point, let alone the pivot. And then you just look at other names that didn't even get a big move today. And let's see where they are. You know, you get CART that gets up, but it sells off pretty aggressively. Look at Bros, was up 18% pre-market and gave a huge chunk of it back. That's not good price action. And then you just go through a whole list of things that never even got close to their pivot, right? Here's the Netflix pivot. It's way down here. Amazon down 9 days in a row. They say this is the worst performance for Amazon since 2006. So that's 20 years. Yikes. Dash, look out where Dash is. Dead lows of the week in relation to that pivot there. Uber, same thing. Oh my God, destruction. Expedia. So you can see what I'm saying, right? None of these things are even close. They should have ripped like this if we were going to get that counter trend rally bounce. Yelp, DraftKings just got murdered today. It's down 75% from its all-time highs, I believe. Horrible. Pins getting crushed today. And then this is the worst news of the week. Look at Apple. Look at Apple compared to its pivot day, which is right here. Selling off horribly. I mean, when they start taking Apple down, that's trouble. So here's the problem now. The problem is if you look at let's go to the indexes. And actually, before I do this, I also want to note that in late January, I talked about this concept about the potential to create generational wealth in the market over the next 3 to 5 years. And I'm going to revisit that. I'm going to update that this weekend for subscribers. I want to talk about this concept. The idea is, I think we might be in the late innings of kind of a corollary to the internet bubble. But here's what people forget is that the last 3 to 5 years of the internet bubble, people made a S-load of money. Don't let what happened in the last week or so take your eye off the ball. You know, like people always say like, oh, I love this stock. If it were to pull back 20%, I would buy it. And then it pulls back 20%, they don't want to buy it. Nothing that's happened in the last week or two changes my thesis about this generational wealth opportunity. But I'm going to talk in a little bit more specifics about how to approach this. It has to be done in a very risk-averse way, but also a way that you can leverage up and make that wealth if the market unfolds the way I think it might in the next 3 to 5 weeks. So if you are a paid subscriber, look for that. So, all right, let's go through the indexes here. If you're watching this on Twitter, you can see the rest of the video by clicking the link in the reply. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the comments. Okay,